All right, boys, let's go.
So the first week of September kind of did what September does, and the weather was pretty tricky. It was windy, it was rough, we had a storm swell, so not a ton of people got out. We will see that in the Canyon Run report, just how few people were able to really run the distance to the canyons and offshore. But things are settling out now. The forecast looks beautiful. The reports are looking good, and I am excited for what's going to happen the rest of this month.
Yeah, it seems to be shaping up for that typical fall. Water's kind of getting, predictable, and we just need the weather to go, and it looks like we have that right on the horizon here.
My mercury levels are at a perilous low right now. I last year I was really firing because I was eating so much tuna that my lots of heavy metals in there. Yeah. This year they're very low, dude. I have not had some fresh tuna in a while, and I hope to rectify that in the near to immediate future. But starting off the reports, Sunset Marina in Ocean City, Maryland, that is my go-to for the information down there. Those folks said not a ton of boats got out, but the ones who got out over the last couple of days found a lot of mahi-mahi. Tons of mahi were coming in. The marlin bite cooled off quite a bit. They're still seeing some, but I think the high watermark for releases down there over the last couple of days, they said was 3 white marlin releases. Somebody did get a blue marlin too.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of up and down the coverage area with the marlin bite kind of quieting down. The area where we were chasing them, that seems to have petered out some, south of the Vineyard, south of Nantucket, that stretch.
The best marlin report. We've been too marlin heavy this year. We're tuna men at heart, but we got kind of pierced by the skilly's bill and been talking way too much about marlin.
Hear something, say something. It's been a great marlin year. So.
But the best marlin fishing I've heard of, this week was a report from the guys at Fisherman Supply Company in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, and they said out in 1,000 fathoms is where they're seeing there's some good water, and guys are getting white marlin and blue marlin out there. So, but that's way out in the deep, and that seems to be the best marlin fishing. Before we move up to New Jersey, just want to mention that the On the Water Northeast Offshore Report is brought to you by Sirius XM Marine. Fish mapping is Sirius XM's most comprehensive plan, and it's available on your boat's display and includes access on your phone, tablet via the Fish Mapping app. Serious anglers use every advantage they can get, and Sirius XM marks the spot where bait fish gather and game fish hunt.
The Offshore Report is also brought to you by Garmin Marine. Check out the Panoptix PS70 stainless steel through-hull transducer. It's powered by Garmin Rapid Return Sonar, which gives you live sonar up to 1,000 feet below the surface. See fish live, catch fish deep. Garmin.com. Last but not least, Canyon Runner delivers another great offshore report with limited, touches, limited opportunities for intel to come back. There's still a pretty comprehensive report up and down the coast from those guys. The Canyon Runner sport fishing team is here to help you catch fish. They offer coaching and concierge services, seminars, and a virtual captain system, which exponentially help increase your catches inshore, midshore, and out to the canyons. The report they provide gives you a sampling of what their virtual captain system looks like, which serves as your co-captain, providing all the fish catching and safety intel, including a built-in warning system and more. It gives you the ability to track over 400 member boats and 15 pro staff boats in real time, and you can check them out at www.canyonrunner.com. What do you got down south there, Jimmy?
So I got the report from the crew at Fisherman Supply Company in New Jersey, and it's always one of my favorite shops to talk to. There's a lot of great shops down there. You've got the Real Sea, you've got Tack Waterman, you've got Fisherman Supply. Fisherman Supply is right on the water in Point Pleasant, and in addition to serving recreational fishermen, they also serve commercial fishermen.
Yep.
The shop's got a long history, and one of their reports, they were talking to some of the lobster boats setting their pots, and they said in Chicken Canyon, the lobster guys pulling their pots there, said it's been loaded with big mahi out there.
Ooh.
So it sounds like there's a lot of mahi all over the place,
yeah.
But for some bigger ones, it sounds like directly from the source, the guys that are setting the structure that most of us go and fish on, the bigger ones they were finding around that Chicken Canyon area.
Those are a good guy to have contacts in your phone.
Exactly, not just for the mahi intel. For
everything.
Yeah.
Those guys are making a living on the water. If you can befriend a commercial fisherman that's out there, working day in and day out. I know a lot of very successful captains who a big part of that network is that commercial fishing fleet where they get tipped off and they're usually the first ones on a bite because of that, connection, that alliance they've built.
Those guys that are going out there and catching those first fish of the season or the first or finding the bite first, a lot of times that tip comes from a scallop dragger or a lobsterman. Absolutely. Or somebody who is out there working day in, day out, regardless, not waiting for any reports. They've got to go out day after day to get their, make their living. Continuing in New Jersey, good tile fish bite, blue lines and goldens in 400 feet of water. That's going pretty well. I saved the best for last, and that is within the last, I'd say on Monday, things started to pick up in the Hudson Canyon with a good chunk bite for yellowfin tuna. And that's something that's been missing for a better part of the summer, but it sounds like they are starting to take hold. And those fish were 40 to 70 pounds, so not the giants, not the really big ones that we've been seeing sporadically inshore, but as the guys at Fisherman Supply said, it's a good fish. It's a fish anybody could beat. Within 15 minutes, you've got that thing on the deck. It's not going to punish you. That's a great size. And it's a great size for the head boats. And the boats, the Voyager, Big Jamaica, I forget the other boat they said, but another one of the head boats down there, maybe the Gambler, got out on that within the last 48 hours, and they came back with some yellowfin, chunking butterfish. If you're going to do that on your own, what's the worst part about chunking butterfish?
Cutting them.
Do you remember there was a contraption a couple years ago we had, and
it's like a torture chamber.
It was like a medieval torture device. Yeah. So it would sit on the top of a 5-gallon bucket, and it had these razor sharp bars.
Oh, what was that called? Chunk Buddy? Was it Chunk Buddy?
I don't know what it was, but I remember I was doing that on like the pitching deck and just waiting to just chunk my hand into perfect butterfish sized pieces. That job always fell to me, and I didn't mind it. But what I was excited to hear is that Fisherman Supply, they said, tell the guys that we are selling pre-chunked butterfish. So
wow.
I saw some pictures of it, and it's basically you see the flat of butterfish. I think they took a Sawzall or something to it, and then it gets out there.
Which, by the way, it's not a bad way to go about it. You just cut the flat in cross sections with a Sawzall.
I love the idea of just going out and buying it pre-chunked.
That's pretty awesome.
Going out there, so that's an option as we get into that part of the fall. But the fish that they were catching on the hook bait, so they're chumming them in and chunking them in with the butterfish chunks, and then they're hitting sardines and butterfish. And the fish I heard were holding at about 80 feet, so jigs were another option as well.
Nice music to my ears, Jim.
The fall chunk bite overnight, that's settling in, and they seem to think that they were there. They're going to be there for the next few weeks. So that's something that kind of, once they settle in, you have it for a while, unless there's a major conditional change, some big water temperature changes. But for the most part, those fish are in there eating in the Hudson Canyon. That is like one of the, I think Adam LaRosa said in one of the earlier reports that he's like, there's always fish in Hudson Canyon. There's always tuna in Hudson Canyon.
12 months out of the year, you can catch yellowfin in Hudson Canyon.
Moving up a little bit, I'm going to let, I listened to, speaking of Adam from the Canyon Runner, I'll let him cover Montauk. He had a much more detailed run on that in the Canyon Runner report. Southern New England, our friends, Joe DiOrio, Kevin Albon, they are still having great days, 20 hookups. I'm seeing so many reports in that Southern New England of guys going out, catching a ton of small, those 30 to 40-inch bluefin tuna, with more and more of those 60-inch ones in the mix. I was going to move up to Cape Cod Bay, but I know usually where I usually hand it off to you.
That bite down there has just parked itself in the same spot between Habs and the gully and just south of the gully, and it's been there. I feel like we've been talking about it for 6 weeks now. And the thing that has changed, though, is there's more of a mix. I heard of a 111-inch fish taken out of there, mid 60-inch fish. DiOrio said that over the weekend they had, I think, 6 overs.
Wow.
Or 8, 6 overs and 8 unders, I want to say. It's nice to see that mix in there because when we hit it, it was just all rats. And that's been kind of the norm out there. So that seems to have remained a consistent location where tuna are feeding, people are catching fish. And now it's a little bit of a range between, luck of the draw, you don't know what you're going to hook. It seems to me a lot of the guys trolling are still catching the rats, and the guys that are jigging and got a Ron Z in the mix, They're the ones that are catching a little bit more of the mix. Joe's still surprised he hasn't encountered a yellowfin out in those grounds. They've been literally onesie, twosie at best, where it's like, oh, surprise yellowfin. So it didn't really shape up for that mixed bag yellowfin mixed with bluefin bite at all this year, which kind of a little bit of a disappointment for the inshore guys.
No, it seems like those smaller yellowfin, the ones that were in here inshore last year, stayed out in the canyons. Yeah. Those are the ones, those let's say 40-pounders to 70-pounders. Those are the ones that are now seeing in Hudson Canyon in good numbers. The ones we've been seeing inshore and midshore have been, since mid-June, they've been big yellowfin. The pictures, we continue to see pictures on social media. The guys at Shore Catch, when they're finding them, they're enormous fish. I am dying to get one that would ratchet up my yellowfin personal best. I don't know what it is. I think it's hovering in the like 80-pound range, but I would love to get triple digits on a yellowfin. Mine was on a head boat. I didn't weigh it. I don't know how to get. I'd like to say 80 pounds because that sounds like a nice high enough number where it's not like bragging high, but it's not so low. I don't know what. It's probably 50 pounds. But I would love to get out and get one of those really big, stunning looking, 100-pound yellowfin. So why don't we hear from the Canyon Runner right now, then you can fill us in on the rest of northern New England.
Sounds like a plan. Take it away, Canyon Runner.
All right, let's get going. How we doing, Jimmy and Cheech? Welcome to the review of the week of September 1st. So we're going to start with probably the greatest news we've heard all year for a certain amount of guys, you folks down south. Finally, there was a legit tuna bite. It happened Saturday. I'm just going to get right to it. We had one of our pro staff, the Restless Lady Boat. He was out fishing for mahis on the hot dog and randomly picked, one yellowfin, actually jokingly sent it to Adam and Dean, asking us to identify it because they hadn't seen one in a month. Then got another. Then all of a sudden I got piled on in the afternoon and ended up with double-digit yellowfins, a couple other boats. You could see we had boats out here and down here that ran in there. They each picked a fish. And as of this recording that we're doing right now, the fish are still there. So it's now been 2 out of the last 3 days. There's also some big bluefins in here too. But great news for the folks down south. I wanted to quickly touch on that. There's nothing else to talk about here. What we had the week of September 1st was a lot of bad weather. Most of the boats down in Ocean City didn't fish at all. Saturday was the day they got out. All these track lines are from Saturday. Still a couple marlin around here, mahis on everything, but that's the news and that's the highlight. We also did have, this is an area called Sea Isle Ridge. We also did have a little bit more activity on Sea Isle Ridge. We had a couple boats that got there in the dark, first thing in the morning with a bite or two. Then the really good news was Saturday afternoon, same day as the yellowfin turned on down here. And this is not a coincidence. Saturday afternoon, middle of the day, there was a couple more big bluefins caught in here. So something's definitely developing. Again, bad week of weather. So we don't have much information from out here. We did have a couple fish caught on the chunk and just a few on Saturday. One boat caught 4 on the chunk. A party boat had a few. Maybe there's some tuna fish showing up in the Hudson here. Boats are out here working it Monday morning. We'll see what happens. But as of last week, again, bad weather all week long. There was really nothing anyone can do fishing-wise out here in any of the canyons you could see. We had one boat sneak out here on Saturday because they were a fast boat. They got in and out. There's about 5 boats out in hydro. Most of them had just a few fish. There's still this edge. If we pulled up a water temperature chart, there's a huge eddy right here. Powell and Ladonia Canyons, it's just lights out fishing. But that's 140 miles from Nantucket. It's really not reality for 99% of the fishermen. So let's get back to reality. When we did have a fishable day, which was Wednesday, we had a couple boats with fish around the Atlantic Princess, including yellowfins. We still have action from the bottom of the lanes. Now, when we say the shipping lanes, so the bottom of the shipping lanes, this separation zone, there's action at the bottom. This is the Barnegat Ridge area. There's action in like 1 or 2 bluefins a day if you put in a full effort. Ton of albies, bonitas. It's fun fishing. And last week it was the saving grace for boats in this area because the weather was so bad. But a couple days where it blew hard northwest, they were able to fish. This week coming up, we're going to have great weather the whole week. We're going to have a ton of intel for the next call. But really, if you want to sum up the intel, and because of the way the weather laid out, we had a ton of effort from, if you look at the observations, this is the Montauk Buoy. So boats are fishing in 2 main spots, 3 to 5 miles south of the Montauk Buoy. And then up here is places called Habs Ledge. There's the CIA grounds. and there's boats fishing. They basically, you target Habs Ledge, you work a little to the west and shore. Boats have fished all in here. It's 3 weeks. It's probably over 3 weeks now. Constant action. There was action Saturday. It was blowing northwest 25 on Sunday. Guys still stuck out. There's fish are still here. They haven't moved. Now, it's not go out there and catch double digits like the rest of this lady did. It's go 12 miles from the tip of the point and catch 1 to 3 really nice fish. They're all 50 to 65-inch bluefins, and there's a scattering of yellowfins in there, but every yellowfin's huge, like 70 to 120-pound yellowfins. Not a lot of fish. Best boats on any given day catch 4. On average, it's 1 to 3, but they're awesome fish. And moving to the east, we have fishing basically the banana. This is the lanes down here, south of the dump. You don't see a lot of track lines here because they're just, again, we had bad weather. But when boats got out, there's now some squid draggers working in here. This was a boat, giant fishing. There's a couple boats, there's squid boats, there's draggers in here. Boats are getting out there, going behind the draggers on giant fishable days, and they're catching. There's a scattering of tuna fish in here. You definitely could catch a few. Tuna Ridge, you could catch a couple. But with how consistent it is over here, you can see most of the folks are coming this way. But the white marlin that was in here, what we reported about for a few weeks ago, that's really slacked out. But there is now definitely some tuna to be caught. Definitely big ones, couple little ones. Not as red hot in here. But speaking of red hot, that's what we're going to finish with. We had some of the most unbelievable giant tuna fishing last week in Cape Cod Bay. In short of it, in a 2-day period last week, there was as many fish caught in those 2 days as the entire month of June, quota-wise. So it is just light out fishing, and it was as good as it got. It wasn't really good here east of Chatham, almost no effort here. All the effort was in here. And then as you move up, there was plenty of action all the way up into the Gulf of Maine. Just great giant fishing. Unfortunately, that quota will probably be closed this week. But in short, what we had last week was limited intel because of just really bad weather and great weather coming up for the week of the 9th. We should have a ton of information last week. We have beautiful water. I'm going to finish with this. This is a composite shot of what is warm water. The edge is now in the Hudson, and it goes all the way out here. We'll pull up the chlorophyll shots. You could see this is blue water from the Hudson now covering all these canyons. And finally, some yellowfin showed back up in the Hudson. There was days and days of boats going out there and catching 0s and 1s. There's finally some fish here. So it looks like we have a traditional September coming upon us. We had some good fishing the last time boats got out. We're going to look for some good fishing this week. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. Talk to you soon.
I'm going to start from north and bring it south to the bay. Cape Cod Bay has been lights out for the giant guys. Talked to Joe from Fisherman's Outfitter in Gloucester. He said there's fish on the southwest corner, there's fish middle bank, northwest corner. And he said there's fish up by the curl and just shy of the curl. It's been sporadic. Live bait and casting topwater has been in play. The fish are on half beaks, which is music to my ears.
How far north is this again?
Southwest corner, middle bank. It's been all around the bank area. So, the tour that we make out of Barnstable Harbor when we move the boat through the canal is in play with those fish on half beaks. So guys are casting stick baits, and they're on also something smaller. He thought maybe peanuts, could be butters.
I would guess probably butters.
Yeah, I would imagine so, but there's been a lot of peanut. I just haven't really counted them out there before. Inshore, there's been fish on spike mackerel, quick feeds, same type of deal. He said the best bet at trying to get those once you spot them, get a floater out. That's been getting bit. He said sharks have been an issue, so, you're going to pull on plenty of sharks when you're baiting and waiting, so, you're going to have to re-up at the shop after going through hooks and fluoro. It's worth it to stick it out for that tuna bite, he said. He said parts of Jeffrey's, the dogfish have been an issue. His advice is to fish high. Scale down to 2 rods. Keep your baits high. Fish live mackerel up top. And if you see any deep marks, you can drop a bait down on their head real quick. And that way you're not just covered up in dogfish. I've actually seen this happen where you have a full spread out and you end up lifting a mother load of dogfish from the bottom, and they're just like making a vortex around the boat. It was the most horrible thing I've ever seen.
I haven't had one of those trips in a while where it's like you you can almost not fish the Ronsees. Even metals are bad. But if you
It's
hit
all
it
bad.
and it lingers at the bottom for more than a half second,
Yeah.
if you don't immediately start your retrieve, boom, dogfish has bit through your Ronsee.
It was absolutely terrible. I had never went up to the bow so quick with the poly ball and the shackle to pull that anchor and beat feet in a different direction. It was so bad. So he also said the 180-foot line up and down the coast are all giants, really big class of fish. It's a good spot to be a commercial guy on the commercial open days on that 180 line to get a really big, healthy, fat fish. And he said the southern and western edge of Jeffries in the deep water, just shy of Jeffries, has been really good. So from that 180 line through the deep water to Jeffries has been also very productive. And he said haddock on Jeffries has been pretty good. So if you're bored and you're not dealing with too many dogfish, it's not a bad bid to put some haddock in the cooler, which is always a great consolation. They're like the Gulf of Maine mahi when you're tuna fishing, right? I talked to Captain Bob from Seacoast, New Hampshire Sport Fishing Charters. Bob has been consistently on fish. He took the weekend off due to the weather. He said that he fished the 3 restricted days last week. They managed a 77-inch, an 84-inch, and a 78-inch, all released, all from Central Jeffries, all on haddock fished 100 to 150 feet down in about 190 to 200 feet of water. He had mackerel up high, but they were shark snacks. Small spike mackerel are still on the surface. No half-beaks that he's encountered yet or surface feeds. All his bites were from fish we watched come up from the bottom to eat. With an older clientele and larger fish, I shied away from jigging, but he's hoping to get in on that jig bite soon if they'll respond to jigs. He said herrings seem to be more regular part of things now. Lots of whale activity around the herring schools. Late last week, a strong biomass of herring moved into southern Scantum. Not much evidence of tuna just then, but that should change should the bait hold in that Scantum area. Large blue sharks continue to be an issue, echoing what Joe from Fisherman's Outfitter had to say, and he said last Friday they released 8, and it was an expensive day on the fluoro front. So finally, he just got word that the general category guys who braved the wind yesterday had good numbers of wreck fish that pushed onto the higher ground of southern Jeffries, drawn to that biomass of spike mackerel. So if you're looking to take advantage of this weather window, hitting Jeffries, with stuff to imitate mackerel and trying to take advantage of some of those surface feeds would be a good bid. I talked to Ryan from Monahan's Marine. He kind of echoed that the southwest corner had been really good. Southeast corner had been good. All big fish. There's been some wreck.
Big, meaning giant big, or big like high wreck big?
Big as in like giants, like giants. But there's been some wreck fish mixed in that he had eyes on. Max and pogies were the primary bait. There's been an XL, extra large, wreck fish bite off of Peaked Hill throughout last week. Didn't really have much activity out there with the weather. You know how that gets really hilly out there. But he said jig and rods off the bottom, mixed in with guys fishing bait, has been getting it done out that way.
I need it.
I know. I want that bite so bad. He was out yesterday and hooked an absolute monster, and they were backing down on the fish. Like he said, it was just an enormous tuna. They saw it. They were backing down on it. They took a big wave over the back of the boat, and it shut everything down. Engines, the electrical systems, bilge pumps, everything gone. Boat swamped. I think it was a 30-something foot, walk around sport fish, pro line, I believe. And
wait, this is
went
first
down.
hand? I saw the video.
Yes, it went down. We have that video. I saw the video shared by Matt Koenig on New England Bluefin Tuna, which I think was by way of the Facebook page Massachusetts Fishing Report. So we'll have a clip of that here. But a poster in the comment section, Craig Galligan, I believe, took the video. It said video credit, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said, we got the call on the cell from a buddy boat of theirs who was watching the boat next to them fight a big fish. They were backing down on it in the southwest corner and got swamped. Boat lost electronics, was taking on too much water, so they got in the life raft. Thankfully, center console nearby FV Titan was anchored next to them, and then went and had the life raft boat side once they got there. And ultimately the boat, literally disappeared from view, and they never had to get wet, which is a good thing. And, boats are replaceable, lives are not. Glad everyone was going home after that ordeal. But, just a reminder, make sure you have the right safety equipment. As the water starts getting colder, there's going to be fish, through December into January. There's fishing opportunities for bluefin. And if you're like us, fish make you do crazy things at times. So, just make sure you have Gumby suits if being in the water is an issue, life rafts, cover the bases, get the safety equipment that you need.
What sounds like that boat was well prepared. They were lucky that they had a boat anchored nearby that could offer quick assistance. But even if they didn't, it sounded like they all got into the life raft quickly.
Yep.
So they were ready to weather that, disaster.
Things happen so fast. It's surprising how fast things can happen out there. I've heard firsthand accounts where they couldn't even get a Mayday call off when they realized they were in trouble. The boat sank so fast. So it does happen that fast. Don't be those guys that are like, oh, there'll be a bunch of boats out there. You don't always know that that's the case. So just cover your bases, be smart, and live to fish another day. I think that's all I got, Jim. I don't want to end on that note, though. What kind of plans do we need to get into?
I was going to come back and say, but mine's also kind of a down note. I saw in some of the groups and heard from some of the folks who were fishing. The fishing was so good last week. They caught so many fish. It was like they caught more fish in the first week of September, I think, than they did in the entire month of June. Ends up flooding the market. I see a lot of those fish are going unsold. So that's kind of a tough, when the fishing's good, everybody's out there catching them, trying to sell them. So that was a tough break. And then the other sad news I has Wicked Tuna's canceled after 13. We're gonna find a way to end this on a high note, but that's a shame, dude. 13 years of that going on the air on Nat Geo channel, and man, I remember they sent a PR package. We were in the old office here at On the Water. And they said it's a PR package with a CD that's put in with the press release, and you put it in there, and here's a glossary of terms, and it was I think it was Marciano. It was and one of them was get off of my numbers, and then the translation was excuse me, sir, would you mind moving away from my fishing spot? It was a great PR.
It was really like that.
I'm not making that up.
That's
and I remember
awesome.
thinking I wonder if this will actually take off, and it did. For 13 years, it was immensely popular. We had Jack Patrickin on here just this year. Great crew guys. Fun to watch them.
Fishy dude. He's a fishy dude. Beyond bluefin.
What'll lift your spirits, though, is looking at the NOAA, at the marine forecast, and seeing that we have some good fishing days ahead. Adam's report from the Canyon Runner saying that things are looking great for what he said is a traditional September, which a traditional September is a great September of fishing. Hudson Canyon's kicking off. The head boats are getting on it. Boats are getting out to the canyons. We're hearing more recreational bluefin, chasing fish on top. The giant bites, lights out.
Mahi fishing's good.
I mean, there is so much good stuff happening right now. You just have to get out there, hop in your boat, get it out of the slip, and go
fish. Go fish. I want to see somebody send us a confirmed wahoo catch over this next stretch.
Swordfish. Did you hear anything on swordfish?
I have not heard much on swords, to be honest with you, but that should be getting good too. Outside of some buddies of mine getting bites on the deep drop side of things, and just
the fall is usually the nighttime swordfish time, so we get into that. October, I remember hearing, was the best month. So still hope for us to achieve that dream of ours.
I say we go on the offensive and totally make up the craziest scenario of all time fishing out in the canyons, and just feed Chris a bunch of false narratives and be oh, this is happening, that's happening, let's go here, and then just go and try to put a swordfish in the boat, put some tunas in the boat, do some chunking.
Well, the safest
kidnap
place.
Him. Can we do it? Can we kidnap the boss and
the safest place to put that plan out is on this report, which we know he's not going to watch. So,
well, guys, take advantage of the weather. Get some fish in the boat. Let us know how you guys make out. Thanks for tuning in to another Northeast Offshore report. I hope you guys have an awesome weather window coming up.
Oh, happy weather windows.
Happy weather windows. We have to end this on a high note, Jim. Debbie Downer over here is trying to just kill the vibe.
I'm canceling shows. I'm not selling Giants. It's just.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you.